Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Eggerding and we are working on our last unit. We're going to start today with an introduction to a piecewise function. Now, first question you might have is, what is a piecewise function? And so up here I have an example of what it looks like in a situation you might be familiar with. So you have a company and it's a shipping company, and depending on how much the object weighs, it charges you a different rate. So if I asked you what's the cost of shipping an item that weighs, say, 5 pounds, you don't use every single formula. You pick the category it fits and you apply that formula. So 5 pounds is this first category. It means it's $1 for each of the 5 pounds plus a $5 flat rate, so it would cost me $10. Now, if I wanted to find the cost of something that weighs, say, 15 pounds, I'm not going to use that same formula because 15 doesn't fit into this cost domain. It fits in this second one. So I would apply the formula where it's 65 cents for each of the pounds plus a $10 flat rate. And if you go ahead and pull out your calculator to calculate that, 0.65 times 15 plus the $10 flat rate, you're going to pay $19.75. Okay, so a piecewise function means I'm going to have a different rule depending on what category I'm in. So this one had 3 categories and it had 3 different rules. Okay, so what does this look like then algebraically? How are we going to evaluate this? Well, this is a piecewise function. It has 2 categories. And so over on the right here, these are categories for x. In other words, those are my domain restrictions. So I have 2 rules. I have a rule for x's that are less than 3, and I have a rule for x's that are greater than or equal to 3. So if I asked you to evaluate something, say f of 0, okay, first I need to decide what category. What category does the 0 fit into? The top one or the bottom one? Well, 0 is less than 3, so I'm going to put it into the top formula. 0 minus 2, which ends up being -2. I get to ignore the bottom category because the 0 doesn't fit in there. Just like on our shipping example, I just used the one formula that my weight category fit into. Okay, so what would you do for, say, f of 10? Okay, well, f of 10, decide on the category. It's greater than 3, so I will plug it into 5 minus the x value is 10, and that's going to be -5. What about something like f of 3? And again, the question is, which category does it belong into? It will never, ever, ever be able to fit in two categories. This value will only fit in one, and that, in this case, the equal to sign is with the 3, so I'm going to plug it into the bottom one, 5 minus 3, and I get 2. Okay, so you will be just evaluating one formula, and it depends on which category it's in. So let's take a look. This piecewise function is a little bit bigger. It has 3 pieces. Okay, so I can do the same thing. I can say, okay, what's f of 0? And again, I look at my categories. I have x is less than -3. There's that comma there, so it's -3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2, and x is greater than 2. 0 fits into this middle category, so I'm going to plug it into the middle formula. 3 times 0 minus 1 is -1. if I want to do f of negative 2, again, my first decision is negative 2 goes into which category? Negative 2 is less than negative 3, so I'm going to use the top formula, and I'm going to do negative 2 times negative 2 squared, and that's negative 8. And if I have something like, say, f of positive 2, again, I need to decide positive 2 fits into which category. It will only be used in one. So 2 fits into the top or the middle category, so I'm going to do 3 times 2 minus 1, and that's 5. So when you're evaluating these piecewise functions, you will just be taking these x values in here and plugging them into a formula. Your decision is which formula do I plug it into, and that's where you decide, based on these domain restrictions, these categories, which formula fits the number you're looking for. Okay, so right now what you should be able to do is to evaluate a piecewise function given an algebraic representation. That's what question 19 and 45 is all about. 39 and 42 ask you to start looking at graphs, and based on what you know of the graphs, can you just do some matching? Okay, bring your questions to class, and we will take care of working with piecewise functions. Thanks.